So, hello everyone and welcome back to the sustainability stage. I hope everybody managed to get lunch. I see happy faces around. Yeah? Okay, so our first session is going to be very interesting as it's very close-hearted to me. I come from a country which is exposed to droughts due to the recent climate change. This is why I'm very happy to present our following speakers today. Martina Löfqvist, who is a part of a company, Picterra, which brings together AI, satellite, and aerial data to optimize geo-information and monitor changes in the geo-surroundings. And Olivier Laplace, who is an advisor for technology, startups, and scale-ups. So, from pixels in space to planet, welcome to our speakers.
Hello, everyone. Check this. So, welcome, everyone. I'm Martina, Head of Strategy and Partnerships at Picterra, and I'm working on something that I'm very passionate about. So we all know that sustainability is a big topic. I'm from Sweden, and they've taken it to a whole other level. So I grew up in the Swedish archipelago, surrounded by forests and nature. So it's always been close to me, sustainability, and it's also not a surprise that Sweden has been ranked as the #1 country for sustainable activities. So that's one of the reasons why I'm very passionate to work with technology and innovation that actually creates a more sustainable future. My background is in software engineering, so I've also done some research within the area of AI for space applications, which is what I'm going to be talking more about today.
Thanks, Martina. Good to be on stage with you. I think the last time we met was at Slush, and I was already to talk about Picterra. So it was another great startup organized by students. And a great opportunity to be together. So I'm Olivier Laplace. I'm partner at VI Partners, a Swiss investment firm. We invest in healthcare and in technology. And Picterra was my first investment when I joined the company. And I was very happy to have the opportunity to invest in a company that is both doing AI and a B2B software as a service solution, but on top of it, help solve some climate issues. I'm a software engineer by training. I've been working into the machine learning and the AI application a few years back, so that's a space I love to spend time on. And we thought that would be a great topic to bring Peter on stage and to hear from you what you've been working on and the kind of problems you've been solving. Maybe a question for you in the room. Who among everybody in the room has been, I think the micro is, better now. You tell me, micro is better like this? Yeah, cool. Who in this room has been knowing that you could apply AI to satellite and drone images in order to extract insight applicable to the sustainability space? Cool, thank you. So good to communicate more about it.
Great. So we're living in a very exciting time right now. It's very exciting for technology, and I've been hearing that in a lot of the topics and sessions today. It's a big focus on AI. Artificial intelligence is the hype of today, but how can you actually use it to extract useful information and make a change in the physical world? There's a lot of cool tools out there, a lot of interesting applications that already change our lives. But when it comes to geospatial information, that can actually have an impact, direct impact on our environment. So this is something that we are very passionate and focused on. And if you look at the industry today of data collection from higher altitudes, say satellites, drones, and aerial observation, there's a wealth of data today, and it's becoming increasingly more accessible and also cheaper to access this data. So it's a good time for all of this data to be put into some kind of solution that makes it easy to analyze it. And one of the problems that we see with the geospatial industry is that a lot of companies do not have the capabilities in-house to do this analysis. And it's very costly to set up a data science team. And many times when this is set up, it's only for a specific project. So there's a lack in terms of replicating the processes. So that is something that we're very focused on. And you guessed it, artificial intelligence is the key of our company. So we use that to make sure that you can analyze any Earth observation data very easily and also with high accuracy. So there is no code needed for using this platform, which is great. So people can get straight into business. And it's very quick to deploy as well. So we have a few interesting customer stories that we would like to dive into to showcase a bit more in detail on how you can actually use this geospatial intelligence for sustainability actions.
So what's very interesting with the platform and what surprised me when I first met the Picterra team is this ability to go through various verticals and apply it to various industries. So maybe, yesterday I had a conversation with an investor who is investing into various asset classes. And amongst the asset classes he's investing in, one is forestry. And I was mentioning Picterra, and this investor was a bit surprised, how can I use AI in order to better grow my trees and my forest? So maybe can you tell us about the forestry use case?
Yeah, so deforestation is one of the obvious examples that many people think about when we say that we do things for Earth observation industry. So what we have done for some of our customers is to be able to identify different types of trees and also be looking at historical data to see how deforestation has occurred to identify where it has been illegal potentially and see how the forests are being changing over time and the monitoring of them.
With the capacity to go back in time, right? If you're able to have satellite images from 10 years ago, you're able to compare the state of the forest and how it evolved with time with today. Mm-hmm. Maybe another interesting case is from a very brand household name here in Switzerland, located in Vevey. Can you tell us more how you're helping them with coffee plantation and coffee farms?
Yeah, and this is a very interesting use case where they have over 100,000 farms across 15 countries in the world where they need to make sure that all of these farmers are utilizing sustainable practices for coffee cultivation. So we help them to plot out all of these farms and all of the coffee plants that they have in these farms as well. And this is something that would be quite challenging to do if you do it manually, which they had attempted before. So we got in there to speed this up, the development, and to make it more accurate in terms of the findings that we have.
And the number of 100,000 farms is just mind-blowing, right? It's a lot of small producers of coffee that they need to help to get to a more sustainable way of growing coffee. And this is a huge number, and obviously automation is absolutely key in order to implement proper sustainability processes.
Yes, artificial intelligence is really helpful when you're trying to do something at scale, such as mapping the whole world. Mm-hmm.
The next use case that I find very interesting is the one around the energy transition, renewable industry. So can you help guide us into what are the applications of Picterra in this space?
So one area within renewable energy is, of course, the solar energy and solar panels. So there's been a few different use cases where we have looked into this. For example, we had one customer who wanted to identify parking lots where you can install these solar panels for the most efficient solar energy production. So that's the one that you can see on the big screen here. And then we also had a case in Yemen where they wanted to look at a more rural area in terms of smaller solar panel installations and see how it related to the development of the groundwater in those areas.
And I love that use case because you can apply it from a very developed, economically developed country like Switzerland, but you can also develop a similar use case for a country that is more in development. Mm-hmm. The last one is the first one that I've been fascinated about the first time I had a look at Picterra, which is this case in Denmark, where a few annotations help to scan the whole farms in Denmark and detect slurry tanks to detect and estimate the ammoniac emission. So that's 1 hour of clicking and just teaching the program what is a slurry tank and if it's open or closed. And then the AI runs during a few hours on the full country. And then you get 26,000 annotation with a proper geolocation and with a great level of information if the tank is open or closed, which was probably the most effective way to estimate the ammoniac emission of this activity.
Yeah, and as you can see in the video here, it's quite an impressive use case as well because it's plotting it across the whole country, which Olivier mentioned as well, which is usually very challenging to do if you're doing it by hand and trying to identify all of these individual slurry tanks. So it's helping the Danish government to understand what are the ammonia emissions in the country, and by understanding this, you can take then climate actions accordingly.
Thank you. Thank you. I had a few Q&A for you just to continue with this. So the first one was, why Picterra today and not 5 years ago, 10 years ago? You know, what has changed in the landscape that makes this possible today?
There are a few things that has changed. As you all know, artificial intelligence is something that has been advancing a lot over the past few years. But on top of that, we also have much cheaper compute power. And I've heard that in a few other sessions mentioned as well. And that's a key thing to keep in mind, that the compute power and the price of it is becoming very inexpensive. And as I mentioned in the beginning of the presentation as well, the wealth of data from satellites, from aerial images, from drones is increasing significantly and becoming more and more accessible to everyone. So we strongly believe that every company in the future is going to have some link to geospatial intelligence.
So my investment thesis into Picterra as an investor and today a board member was the fact that the cost of launching satellites in a decade has been divided by between 100 and 1,000, depending on the type of satellites. The consequence of this is a huge volume of data now available that you have to find effective, pure software solutions in order to make sense of that data. Mm-hmm. Maybe my next question is about, the generative AI craze, and especially ChatGPT being placed in the hands of every household in the world. What has been the impact on a solution like Picterra?
So one of our philosophies is to try to make artificial intelligence accessible to someone who might not have any coding skills or any experience within this field. And that's what we saw that ChatGPT really did. It made it accessible to anyone. You don't have to understand the complexities behind the algorithms in order to use AI today. And we see that with so many other applications as well. So what we are really trying to do is to make it easy for anyone to get a hold of machine learning tools. And this is in the geospatial industry, and we haven't really seen any company like us to provide this type of technology.
Thank you, Martina. Maybe our next question also related to that space is the press has been talking a lot about the cost of running those models, especially the ChatGPT ones and the huge electricity consumption, etc. What about this in the world of Picterra and Earth observation?
Yeah, I believe this is one of the big misconceptions in the discussions nowadays when it comes to AI. A lot of people believe that AI is extremely complex and that it's very costly. And there are some models that are very complex and do require a large amount of data. So that's why they might become more complex, because they are looking for specific solutions. But I would say that it's somewhat of a misconception, because academia is really on the edge of AI. But there's a lot of technologies that have been out there already for 10, 15 years that are working perfectly fine and are not on the cutting edge, but can still be applied to specific solutions. So for example, in Earth observation, you're looking at solving a very specific problem, such as finding solar panels or finding slurry tanks or finding specific trees. And you might have a certain set of data. You don't need all satellite images or all aerial images. So when it's more of this specific problem, you don't need the most cutting edge algorithms out there in order to solve it. And we actually did perform some tests on this in the company. So we did try some algorithms that were developed by a university that were more on the cutting edge side. And then we tried with our own algorithms, which are a little bit more simplified. And ours turned out to be more accurate, which was quite interesting. And it just goes to show that you have to think about the problem and then apply the algorithm to the specific problem.
Maybe to build on this, when I did the due diligence in Picterra before the investments, I told the guys there's a mistake in your financial model. Your cost of storage, compute, etc., is decreasing. Well, I expect the volume, the client going up, and the usage going up, the cost will skyrocket. And they told me, no, it's been absolutely consistent in the past years that with time going on, we get better and better at processing, computing with a much cheaper cost. So yes, the volume of client and usage increased dramatically, but in fact, our cost stays relatively stable and decreasing in total for the company because we're getting better at running the models and optimizing those very specific models.
And we see that it's also becoming cheaper for the customers because of the data, once again, becoming cheaper in terms of satellite data and also drone and aerial data. So this is also making it more accessible for more companies. And once again, that's why we believe that more companies will be using geospatial intelligence in the future.
Maybe a last question. This weird acronym EUDR, what is it? And can you tell us about how it applies to the space?
So that is EU's new regulation for deforestation, and it's a very important regulation that has come in place because it's affecting a lot of companies and the sustainability essentially of their products. So we're working with a lot of companies right now to try to navigate this space. And the companies that we've talked to, many of them are confused about this new regulation and don't really know how to go about it, but we really believe that it's a business opportunity as well. It's a way for the company to generate revenues while being also conscious about the environment.
And I think this is where it's very important for Switzerland because Switzerland is really an important platform for soft commodities, sugar, coffee, etc., trading. And those traders are obviously motivated by making a margin. So the priority for them is business. But if we are able to bring them a tool that helps them be compliant on the sustainability side with the new regulation, but at the same time can help them streamline their operations, which means saving money and increase margin, we obviously ticking two boxes at the same time, right? So I think this is a key element in the whole go-to-market of Picterra and those applications.
Absolutely. And it's something that we can see, as you said, in many different applications as well, that this needs to be taken into account nowadays.
Thanks, Martina. Thank you very much for your attention. I can only encourage you to follow Picterra on LinkedIn to be aware of the new models, the new applications, the new clients. And I think what is also important to remember from this, right, is this topic that for sustainability to work, we need to motivate the businesses to adopt it. And to motivate the businesses as going concern to adopt sustainability, we also need to show them that it has an impact on the top line and the bottom line. And we need to be able to address those two issues together and help them increase their business profitability at the same time that we help them be compliant on the sustainability side.
Yeah, it has a lot to do with the business's strategy. And I see a lot of companies are trying to implement AI into their strategy nowadays. And geospatial intelligence is one way to do this. Of course, there's other ways as well. But we're seeing more companies being open to this right now as well, because the topic is so widely discussed and there's more knowledge around the topic as well, which is great. So this is how we believe that we can bring actionable data for people to really make an impact in sustainability.
Thank you. And we're available for exchange discussions after the talk. Thank you very much. Have a good conference.
Yeah, thank you.